John Spooner, what did no one ever tell you about money that's so vitally important that you needed to write a book about it now?
Well, it's not so much it's money plus. It's really for the young people 25 to 40, millennials plus, who are clueless in so many ways, including financially illiterate. And I felt that generation needed to be educated in a practical way.
And you're a financial advisor, but this book is not about remorse over not buying Apple at 50, right?
Right. It's not about individual anything. It's about technology changes, the fads change, the buzzwords change, human nature never changes. It's about really how these young people can establish a brand for themselves in a world of 320 million Americans.
And in the book, you preach simplicity. You talk about long-term money through simple themes. What are some of the simple themes you're seeing now?
Okay, well, a good example of a simple theme 4 years ago, I looked for the most hated list, the lows, not the high list. And one of the two most hated areas was big pharma or healthcare. And I can overweight portfolios, and I could go as much as 30% big pharma, and they were given away at the time, and they were all yielding 4 to 6%. So you got paid more than 30-year bonds while you waited, and all of those farmers are way up from 4 years ago. Right now, what's the most hated list? I would say natural resources. And cycles are immutable. Sooner or later, oversupply turns to demand. I would say, so natural resources, which include certainly energy and anything you dig out of the earth, and still financials are still the most hated group by the public.
And you mix life lessons with financial advice in the book. It's really fabulous. One thing I thought was interesting was your approach towards jewelry. You say, don't view jewelry as a financial asset. But I'm thinking it's got gold, it's got diamonds, and these are things that trade every day on the exchange. Why don't you talk about your approach?
I do. So the price of gold is one thing and jewelry is another. I happen to like, and so did my wife, antique jewelry. And it can be gorgeous. Women don't wear big pins and big jewels anymore, except to balls in New York during gala season. But my wife died just about 4 years ago, and some of the stuff that was not emotionally attached to, sell it. Here's the way jewelry works. You go in, even into wholesale jewelers, you buy something for $1,000. Time to sell, they'll give you $400 or $500 for it. Then they'll mark it up to $1,000 or $1,200. Then that gets sold at $400 or $500. The whole cycle repeats itself. Never buy jewelry for an investment unless you may be Elizabeth Taylor.
Well, eventually she had to give away a lot of that jewelry. In your book, you talk about giving as well. You talk about charity. Can you talk about the best approach to charity that you found with your clientele?
Well, it's a big part of my life, but typically you don't get charitable because you haven't accumulated any assets. I would say mid-40s is when you should turn your attention to philanthropy. And then pick out, it's easy because you're going to get deluged with 100 places or more a year that want your money, and they're all virtually worthy. Find one or two places first, like my grandfather helped found a boys club in the 1920s, 30s. And so I've been on the Boys and Girls Clubs of Boston for 30 years or so. Pick out a niche. Maybe it becomes your school. Maybe it becomes I'm on a theater board, and I'm on a National Public Radio board, stuff that I love. Go for what interests you.
And we've talked about making money, we've talked about spending money, giving it away. But right now, when your clients come to you, what are they most worried about with regard to their finances? Talking about the economy right now.
Number one of the reasons I want to stay in there market-wise and buy on dips is three things exist. One is interest rates record lows. I don't care if they go up a quarter of a point. To me, it's going to be meaningless. Two, the level of anxiety is high in America, in the part of the public. And I don't see greed. I don't think the market itself is in a bubble. And as long as anxiety is high and I'm not seeing greed, I want to be in there. Third thing, maybe trillions on the sidelines earning nothing in money funds, nothing in CDs. And as long as those three things are operable, what are my clients scared of? They're scared of the news, which is going to be horrible every day for the rest of our lives, folks, but it may not affect you or me or our families. We're in this Darwinian world. And if you're good at what you do, you can do good to great. But all boats are not going to rise in society for a long time. But they're scared of what's around us.
All right, thanks a lot, John.
Thanks.
And thank you for watching The Street.